Before this video starts, I'm super bummed out because I was trying a new feature on my phone, and yeah, I do record a lot of videos with my phone, and it was like HDR video recording, and I recorded taking my brother's rig apart, and then putting it back together, fixing it, how I fix it and everything, which I'm about to explain to you. But all those video files will not load correctly on my computer. It's almost like it's maybe a software format only for the phone, which I don't understand that. It also does that in the slow motion, like the slow motion recording on my phone. When I put it on the computer, it's not actually slow motion. I don't know why that's even a thing, but yeah, I'll roll forward and explain some basic troubleshooting tips that we ran into and some problems that you guys probably will run into. So yeah, knowledge. All right, guys, roll the clip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so my brother has brought over his rig of 4 3060 Ti's, and I figured this would be a good example of a situation when you have a problem. He called me, he's like, hey, I don't know what's going on, it won't power on, I'm not getting any display. So I'm like, well, break it back down to just the bare necessities. So he was like, well, you mind if I run it over? I'm like, yeah, that's no problem. So he brought it over here. I took all the risers out, all the cards out, and this chip and motherboard have integrated graphics. So I plugged in the monitor to the actual motherboard and made sure it was posting. It was posting, and we went through the BIOS, we reset the BIOS, we fired it back up, and I added one graphics card. You always want to limit your amount of variables that you have. He's running Hive off of a USB drive. I'll get to that here in a second. So one graphics card in, booted it back up, it posted, and then it went to go load into Hive. It started loading into Hive, and then it black screened. So that pointed me into the direction of the actual USB drive. At that point, I pulled the USB drive out. I went and flashed a brand new USB drive, because every now and then those USB drives do die, and for no reason at all. That's why it is suggested to run your operating systems on an SSD. So put a brand new one in, fired it up, it fired up on Hive, it started mining, everything's going good. Then from there, I plugged all the rest of the graphics cards in, fired it back up, everything was mining good. So yeah, the best situation and the easiest way to diagnose is to take all the variables out. You don't have to actually physically take the graphics cards out, but unplug everything from the motherboard except for the bare necessities for it to run. And then and then if it works there, then start adding one thing at a time. But now my brother was like, hey, what if I unplugged everything, I fired it up, and I get no display still? Well, I told him that's when I would take the RAM out, reseat the RAM back in, potentially change it to the other slot, take the CPU out, and then if it didn't work, take the CPU out, check the pins, make sure nothing's bent, put the CPU back in, reseat it, check to make sure the CPU cooler is actually attached and not loose, because I have seen where sometimes people don't secure the Intel CPU coolers and they're just kind of like sitting on top of it loosely, and then fire it back up. And if you don't post at that point, then you potentially have a RAM or CPU or motherboard issue. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't see a lot of Intel CPUs kicking the bucket. More often than not, it's motherboards with bent pins. But you know, that's just one thing you'll have to. That's why I like buying all similar hardware. So all my motherboards are the same generation. So all my CPUs, I can swap them between rigs. So if this rig's acting up and I can't figure out why, I can change CPUs with the other system, so that way I can verify, is it this CPU or is it not this CPU? Is it this RAM? Is it not this RAM? And vice versa. And that's basically how I identify and troubleshoot all of my problems, is just, knocking out one thing at a time. So I figured I would make a short little video explaining that to you guys. And if you have any questions, please just give me a shout. And yeah, have a good night. And adios, guys. All right, so a little bit of bonus content for the people who always watch to the end of the videos. What up, what up? The 750-watt platinum power supplies at Parallel Miner. These are 94% rated power supplies, so very, very, very nice. They're back in stock. You can get them with 8 PCI cables and an X6 breakout board for $32. And I believe anything over $30 is free shipping. Don't quote me on that. It's either $30 or $40, something like that. But you can up your breakout board to one of the bigger ones so you can get more cables. If you need 16 cables, $60. But I usually get the X6 with 8 cables, and then I can split my cables at the end with the splitters. So if you didn't see my video earlier, they also have these splitters back in stock. So it'll take one power plug and split it into 3. And the Parallel Miner cables are a lot more heavy duty than a lot of the ones you get off eBay. So like the actual wire gauge thickness, all that fanciness. But yeah, see, you can plug one in, then you can plug a riser in, and then 2 into the top of the card. So these cables are really, really nice. Anyway, guys, yeah, Parallel Miner link is down below in the description. To see like the most current stuff that's available, what I always do is just click on shop, and then basically this first page right here is the fresh stuff they've added. Some stuff is already out of stock. They just added these today, and they're already gone. You can click on notify me when in stock, but 570s for $500 is, that ain't it. That ain't it, fam. All right, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next one. Bam.